2 games into the Asian Champions League Elite and 2 losses for the Central Coast Mariners. It's a worrying start for the Central Coast, but obviously there's a long way to go in this campaign and it's still early on for the Mariners. Haven't even kicked off the A-League season, but there's maybe some worrying concerns for the Mariners that Mark Jackson has to resolve for the upcoming games, especially if we want to make sure we're finishing in the top 8 of the Asian Champions League Elite. We'd love to get your thoughts on how the Mariners are playing at the moment. Do you think the losses that we've sustained from last season, are really going to affect us this season? It's quite fascinating at the moment though for the Mariners, considering that we look at what happened last season and the way Central Coast started, and we lost like all those early games. The first 4 games of the A-League we lost. It did not look good at all. The way we turned it around and switched things on and just had an incredible run. I feel like we're almost in a similar situation now where it's like, I feel like I'm happy as a Mariners fan to sustain like a couple early season losses as like these, all the new signings sort of gel into the squad. Mark Jackson sort of gets the team, playing a bit more cohesively after a few weeks. But it's going to be important that we keep on improving each game. And the concerning thing is, as we'll look at in this video a bit later on, is comparing the stats, especially from the first 2 games in the Asian Champions League Elite. And there maybe isn't too many signs of improvement this early on for the Central Coast Mariners. So on match day 1, Mariners took on Shandong Taishan in China, losing 3-1 in the end. A game that I thought Mariners really dominated for at least the first half. The second half, Shandong Taishan definitely got back into the game and ended up running away with it in the end. And the second game, Buriram United, I think we were eyeing up this match as the game to, get a result, to get a win at. No doubt that they're a quality opposition. They're one of the top teams in Thailand. They've got some Aussies in their lineup as well. We know Curtis Good, former Melbourne City centre-back, was there. Former Socceroo, Kenny Dougal in the lineup as well. And despite a reasonably bright start from the Mariners, Buriram United, they played a fantastic game. I think they dominated in most aspects of the match. When we look at the lineup for the Mariners, there were 4 changes from match day 1. The big blow was no Trent Sainsbury at the back. Young Nathan Paul was coming into that back line. It was interesting to see that Mark Jackson changed up the wide players as well. In the first game, Vitor Feijão and Sabit Ngor, they were the starting players in those wide midfield positions. In this game, it was Mikael Docker and Christian Theoharis. And I think those guys struggled to get themselves into the game. Christian Theoharis was a little bit off the pace in this match. And it's quite telling when we look at the statistics as well, comparing the 2 matches. First of all, let's have a look at the stats from the first game. 3-1 loss against Shandong Taishan. Mariners ended up with 15 shots, 5 on target. The possession as well, 62%. Those possession numbers were even higher in the first half in favor of the Mariners. It's such a stark contrast comparing it to this most recent game against Buriram United. Mariners, only 3 shots, 1 on target. That 1 on target, of course, being that fantastic long-range goal from Lucas Moragas, which was probably the only highlight of the night for Central Coast Mariners. Everything really went wrong for us. There's probably an argument that you could, put down sort of that stark contrast in stats to the changes in the lineup. I think Sainsbury, we saw in that first game, the composure that he brought to that back line. He was so comfortable on the ball. Passing ability is fantastic, and his partnership with Caltech is going to be huge for the Mariners this season. But I think we did miss him. And I think I would have preferred maybe just to see those wide players start once again. And I thought Vitor Feijão and Sabit Ngor were probably 2 of our best plays on match day 1. But in this game, Theoharis just struggled to get into the game. Mikael Docker was playing on that left-hand side, so Mark Jackson trying something different there. Docker spent much of last season playing on the right, and I think that's probably the position he flourishes in. But the team selection affected things a little bit in this game. Of course, the red card to Adam Pavlicic just prior to the hour mark. What can we say? Pavlicic, he hasn't made a great start to his Mariners career, and he'll know that. He'll be expecting better from himself going forward. He was the backup keeper at Sydney FC last season. He's been given the opportunity at the Mariners. To be fair, he's got huge gloves to fill, replacing a fantastic goalkeeper in Danny Vukovic, who retired at the end of last season. Some shaky performances already. Maybe could have stopped a couple of those goals in match day 1 in China, and then this game here, just that poor sort of judgment, the poor timing coming out there and clashing with the opposition player. It has to be a straight red card. So it's not a great start to life at the Mariners for Adam Pavlicic, but we're going to get behind him. We're going to rally behind him, back him. And look, I'm very curious to see what happens with the goalkeeping department going forward, because Jack Wilczewski actually made a couple decent saves when he came off the bench. And I wonder if there's maybe an opportunity now. Obviously, we know Adam Pavlicic is going to miss the next game against Shanghai Port in a couple of weeks' time. Jack Wilczewski is going to be given a huge opportunity to perform in that game, and potentially could be the starter as we head into the A-League season in just a couple weeks' time as well. So certainly question marks there in terms of the goalkeeping department, which we haven't really had for a while. we've sort of had, really, rock solid first choice goalkeepers for the last few years now, whether it's been Mark Birigidi, Danny Vukovic in recent years, but now two young goalkeepers competing with each other. It has to be a good thing. They're going to be pushing each other for that starting spot for the Mariners. So look, we still have 6 match days to go, but we need serious improvement, I think, if we are going to progress through to the knockout stage of the Asian Champions League Elite. Of course, that has to be the aspiration for us, and especially considering the top 8 out of 12 teams go through. So what do we need to see change from Mark Jackson? We need to see the intensity rise, the energy rise, and I think that will just naturally will happen, as we get closer to the A-League season. Training sessions will be ramping up now, and once we get into the A-League season and we do have a bunch of games, in the Asian Champions League Elite throughout the A-League season, hopefully the performances and the energy will be a lot better, because simply in this game against Birmingham United, we just did not match them at all. And again, it's tricky, coming up against these sides who are, well into their, regular seasons, their league seasons, and it puts us at a bit of a disadvantage. 2 losses here, have to respond, and it's going to be tough as well, because we know we've got some really difficult matchups. We're taking on Kevin Muscat's Shanghai Port, who are having a phenomenal season over in China at the moment. They haven't made the best start to the Asian Champions League Elite, a draw and a loss so far. So hopefully we can grab a big result there just to get the campaign back on track. So while there is maybe some worrying concerns, especially with all these new players coming into the side, I think we still have to give Mark Jackson some time here to develop these players, to get them gelling together. And again, we look at what happened last season. We lost those, early games for the first couple months. It wasn't looking great, and then we turned it around once this team got gelling together. Once they got used to playing together, we saw what they did in the A-League and in the AFC Cup last season as well. And hopefully we can turn it around and have a good campaign going ahead. But in a couple of weeks' time, it's a huge 8 days for the Central Coast Mariners. We're taking on Melbourne Victory at home for the season opener, a rematch of last season's grand final, then away to Shanghai Port in China, and then back on the weekend away to Adelaide United. 3 incredibly difficult fixtures. That will be the real test for Mark Jackson and this new side heading into this new season. How many points can we grab from those 3 games? What's your guys' expectation for those first 3 difficult matches for the Mariners heading into the new season? Thanks so much for tuning into the video. We'll be doing plenty of videos chatting about my Central Coast Mariners throughout the season, so make sure to stay subscribed if you're keen to keep up to that. Hit the like button on the way out. My name's Lockie. This is Coastwood Football, and I'll see you in the next one.